Right. So, Defiant Jazz. Okay, so I I had to stop. Here's the reality is that there's there's basically groups of doctors that were doing their own versions of neurolinking, and that they were doing those through secure dark webs, and that then in lots of ways those not it's like a lot of times these S&Ms were paying for their victims to be outfitted with that type of stuff. It's not necessarily the brain thing or anything. It could be the speakers. It could be the cameras. Okay, I mean, but there's doctors that were essentially they were psyched by groups into thinking that they were in a secret CIA. I mean, this is what it is. They thought that they were in a secret CIA like project or something, and that then essentially some of them probably would have outfitted some victims, and then there also would have been horrible people, and that my like I said, I know that some of that stuff is like broadcasted. See, right when people think that they like have the most secretest stuff, the dark web kind of has a different dynamic nowadays. That they might not have been broadcasting to the government, but they were broadcasting to lots of other people. And so when I see this doctor like smashing the the old Mormon Gestapo looking dude in the head, there's essentially where those doctors are probably sitting around trying to clean up their fuck up in life. And so with that, basically what they would have been like psych up and tricked into would have then been taken over by these kind of older CIA style type of corporate kind of people. Like when she smashes the dude in the head with the baseball bat, see, that kind of guy is exactly the kind of people that would have been like psychoping those doctors into doing that type of stuff. And so this is the reality about this TV show is that it's like I say, this is where I see I know about this stuff. I've seen the real stuff about this stuff, okay? And that the whole idea is that, yeah, I'm not going to be doing a bunch of stuff to be getting into a dark web, to be explaining to people now with what has a pretty decent modern style, like, explanation. It may be based in a veneer of fiction, but it essentially operates as like a tool that I can use to explain the process of this slave Neuralink type of shit, okay, and where it comes from, and the potentials for what comes of those people that wouldn't have necessarily been. Some of the doctors potentially would have been under a different mindset about that stuff, and that then when they lost control over it, that's where some of those people might have snapped psychologically and would probably, based on their inclusion in it and based on those people psychotically torturing people, okay, I wouldn't be surprised if they would actively take part in elimination of those people, okay? And so here is like where you see, here is like in this doctor, this black woman doctor in Defiant Jazz, the Severance TV, okay? You see how she's reacting to that stuff. So there's a real, like, that will be one of the psychological reactions of the people that didn't, that wouldn't have really meant to do any harm in that type of stuff and would have been under some sort of belief in it being some top secret government project. And then they would have found out later that it was just a whole bunch of psychotic people that had psyched them. And that, see, that type of, that doctor, her reactions to all that stuff being somewhat of like a clandestine, that is like where in secret she still knows still the psychology of a person that's guilty of doing something bad but would have been doing it under a belief of it being a government project, approval and stuff like that. And see her reaction like that is the types of reactions that the people that aren't necessarily the psychopaths, but you'll see that those people like that, those doctors that did that stuff that weren't really guilty, I guess, they'll be turning into psychopaths that will want to be killing those people for doing that. Okay? And so if you're looking for like a psychological profile of who the people that probably aren't the same guilt, I guess it would be, there's guilty psychopaths that would have tricked everybody into doing it, and then there would have been the people tricked into doing that. And so the people that were tricked into doing that will essentially start to have a psychological profile that will revolve in a theoretical way around this black woman doctor trying to get the deactivation. I mean, it could just be the speakers. It could be the voyeur camera exploitation. I mean, it could be that stuff too. Okay, it's gonna have the same psychological output. And see, this is where what seems like probably what would have been a very like smart and a very like wholesome and good like black woman doctor, see how she turns into like a clandestine secret fucking like kill all the people that were doing the harm to all those people in the Lumen company. Okay, and that's kind of, that is what will start to come from them. It will over time. See, the more you people shove in their face how you guys are like torturing those people that they put either speakers or camera eyes on, or if they ended up doing weird Neuralink shit, okay? Those people you guys are shoving in their face all the time, how their actions in life are causing innocent human beings to be tortured into suicide and shit. It's gonna snap them psychologically. And then they know. It's kind of like when she bashed that fuck in the head. She knew exactly why that fuck was following him around. She knew that. And she knew exactly who that person was and why he was there when they were supposedly, like, not supposed, nobody was supposed to know that they were in that hospital, huh? And you see, that's the kind of shit where they have handlers that ghost these victims that they do this weird shit too. Okay? Honestly. And so that's kind of like, that's like where people may not understand that, like, here, this TV show will just be like, it's like every episode that comes out, Langley and the fucking Pentagon and the White House will just be going, shit. They will. Because it doesn't necessarily artfully change from what the reality of some of this stuff is. It doesn't really change much. And so, this is kind of where this TV show is like, See, they the evidence exists in a cyber data way, and that they do it in dark webs that become very difficult for people to extrapolate the information out of for the evidence. And then this is like where here is like, yeah, they kind of have some different kind of artful changes, but essentially the people that understand what this really is about are sitting there noticing a damn near pretty authentic like documentation. And so this is like where these pedo bangers that do that, attempt to do that type of stuff, they'll wonder why if somebody isn't doing the art journalism method of see, it's like the pedo bangers that make the TV shows to attempt to document the stuff. There's other people nowadays that utilize a similar idea or something like that. And that essentially what you people may not realize is that the rules inside of their weird satanic pedobang society are when it comes to stuff like this is to like drastically change things in like massive ways. And you see that there's other people in the world that don't have to follow those ideas. And that the people that start to come out of the woodwork going, these people need to change this stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, those will probably be people that'll be involved with that stuff.